California has more homeless than any other state. About 130,000 people are homeless every night in California. That's about a quarter of the national total. You'd think the leaders of the state of California would be obsessed with fixing this horrifying problem, but they aren't. They don't seem to care. The state doesn't come close to having enough homeless shelters, so more than 2/3 of the state's homeless have nowhere to go on a given night. One reason is the state's strict building codes and environmental regulations. They block the construction of new shelters. Without enough shelters, other problems like trash-filled homeless encampments and piles of needles are almost impossible to stop. A recent Ninth Circuit Court ruling blocks cops from prosecuting homeless people unless adequate shelter space is available. So you can see there's a kind of gridlock going on. And it's not just a problem in the city of San Francisco. Most of the state's homeless live outside of San Francisco or LA. In tonight's installment of Homeless in America, we take a look at how bad the crisis has become in California's forgotten cities. This neighborhood in East Palo Alto, California, is so close to Facebook's global headquarters that Mark Zuckerberg could ride his bike to it. Tech billionaires like Sergey Brin and Tim Cook live within 10 miles. But the people who live on Bay Road in East Palo Alto aren't quite as fortunate as their Silicon Valley neighbors. There's no place in America that better illustrates the massive inequality caused by our booming tech sector. On any given night, more than 100,000 people are homeless in the state of California. Nearly 8 of 10 of them live on the streets. One common explanation for rising homelessness is housing prices. As rents go up, people are forced onto the streets. But there's homelessness in poor areas, too. Consider Stockton. That's a city in California's Central Valley. The housing downturn hit Stockton so hard that the city filed for municipal bankruptcy in 2012. Current rent prices in some neighborhoods are as low as $680 a month. And yet our investigation found homeless people all over Stockton, under overpasses, next to highways, along rivers and canals, near downtown on the outskirts of town. 50 miles north in Sacramento, the state capital, things are just as bad, maybe worse. Every public place we visited in Sacramento had homeless people. A bike path along the American River downtown lined with tents. In one neighborhood just north of the city center, homeless Californians camp out near soup kitchens. Encampments on North B Street go on for a mile. What's striking about the homelessness in Sacramento is how prominent it is. It would be impossible to visit the city and not see it. There were people living at the Cesar Chavez Plaza right in the heart of downtown. This photo shows a multi-tent encampment literally at City Hall. The public library essentially functions as a day shelter. It's filled with homeless people charging their phones, using computers, bathing in the bathroom. People were even living on the grounds of the state capitol building when we visited. One issue is that the city doesn't have enough shelter space. Local officials are doing a terrible job of finding places to put people. The last city-run homeless shelter in Sacramento closed in April. Now the shelter is going to be used as a marijuana cultivation and distribution center, of course. California tent cities should humiliate the state leaders. They don't seem humiliated. California Governor Gavin Newsom seems completely uninterested in his state's tent city boom. As his own constituents slept on the grounds of the state capitol, Newsom went on a 3-day fact-finding trip. The purpose? Newsom wanted to figure out what he could do to alleviate poverty in El Salvador. Here's something we learned after filming that package. In Sacramento, homeless encampments have gotten so out of hand, they are threatening the structural integrity of the city's anti-flood levees. But America's homeless crisis goes far beyond California, sadly. Tomorrow night, we'll begin exploring the rest of the West Coast as our Homeless in America series continues.